You know that album Rumors by Fleetwood Mac, right? It sounds so perfect, so polished. But the story behind how they made it, oh, it's the complete opposite. It's this absolutely raw, chaotic masterpiece that was literally born from the wreckage of their lives.
Okay, so to really get Rumors, you've got to start right here with the relationships. I mean, just look at this. The two main couples in the band, they're both imploding at the exact same time. You've got Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks, their whole long-term thing is just going up in flames. And then John and Christine McVie are separating, but they still have to show up to work and make music together every single day. Can you even imagine? The tension was just astronomical.
And that right there, that's the big question, isn't it? It's the puzzle we're going to try and solve in this explainer. How in the world did this band, a group of people totally shattered by heartbreak and betrayal, somehow, manage to turn all of that chaos into one of the most perfect, timeless albums ever made?
Well, it all starts with how they turn that raw, intense pain into the actual fabric of the album. See, the studio wasn't just, a place to record music. It became this crucible, a place where all that pressure and heat literally forged something brand new out of the wreckage of their personal lives.
And what's so wild is the psychology behind it all. It's this idea of artistic catharsis. Basically, writing songs became their group therapy. Instead of just yelling at each other in the hallways, they poured all that anger and heartbreak into the lyrics. And then, and this is the crazy part, they had to stand in a room and perform those songs with and for the very person they were written about. I mean, talk about brutal, but wow, was it productive. Yeah, and it wasn't like one person was doing this in a corner. Nope. This was a full-on, collective therapy session set to music. They were all forced to work together on these songs that were basically just thinly veiled diary entries about each other. Just try to imagine being John McVie, having to come up with this perfect bass line for a song his estranged wife, Christine, just wrote about her new boyfriend. That was just a Tuesday for them.
And you can see so clearly how they all process this differently. Take Stevie Nicks. Her whole vibe was always more mystical, more poetic. So in a song like Dreams, she's not just saying, we broke up. She's wrapping her pain in this beautiful, almost ethereal package, kind of warning Lindsey about the lonely life he's choosing for himself. It's powerful stuff. And then you have Lindsey's response. Talk about a 180. Go Your Own Way is just raw. It's direct, it's confrontational. And that line, packing up, shacking up's all you want to do, I mean, that's not poetry. That is a straight-up, biting, angry accusation aimed right at Stevie. It's just pure, unfiltered emotion.
But here's the thing, it wasn't all just anger and sadness. You had Christine McVie, who's going through her own divorce from John, and she brings this completely different feeling to the table. Hope. Don't Stop is this amazing, forward-looking anthem of optimism. It's like she's reminding everyone, and maybe yourself, that even when things are terrible, you can choose to look for that light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, so they had the emotion, right? All this raw feeling. But how did they get it to sound so perfect? To answer that, we got to switch gears and look at the tech. We're going to see how the recording studio itself became a huge part of the story. First off, these guys were all over the place. They were recording in these legendary studios from Sausalito to Miami to London, and this wasn't just about a change of scenery. Each one of these places had its own unique sound, its own set of gear, and that allowed them to be incredibly meticulous to really craft the perfect sound for every single song. Now, the real game changer, the tech that made this whole album possible, was the 24-track analog tape machine. And you gotta understand, this was huge back then. It meant they could record every single little thing, every drum hit, every guitar part, every single vocal harmony on its own separate track. The amount of control that gave them, it was just unheard of. And this is how they put it to use. They literally built these songs layer by layer. They'd start with that unbeatable foundation, the rhythm section of Mick Fleetwood and John McVie. Then they'd start layering on the guitars and the keyboards. After that came the lead vocals. And finally, they'd add in all those iconic, beautiful harmonies and extra little instrumental bits. It really was like painting a masterpiece, one careful stroke at a time. And you absolutely cannot tell this story without talking about the engineers, Ken Kayat and Richard Dashut. These guys weren't just hitting record. No way. They were the architects of the Rumours sound. They were like part therapist, part sonic wizard. They were the ones who took all these raw emotional performances and helped sculpt them into the polished gem that we all know and love. All right, so we've got the two key ingredients, right? On one hand, you have all this raw, messy, painful human emotion. On the other, you have this incredible technical skill and precision. The final step was putting it all together, and that process, it wasn't science. It was more like alchemy.
This slide really breaks it down perfectly. It's this idea of creative tension. Look at the inputs on the left, all this negative stuff, conflict, pain, anger. But somehow, through this weird alchemy in the studio, it gets transformed into the amazing outputs on the right. The conflict, it sparked innovation. The pain, it led to this incredible honesty. And the anger, you can feel it. It created this urgency in the music that's just electric. And in the studio, all these totally different styles got mixed into one pot. You had Stevie's dreamy, poetic vibe right next to Lindsay's raw, almost punk rock energy, and then Christine's beautiful, hopeful melodies weaving through it all. They're all on the same album, telling their side of the story. And that's really why Rumours feels so complete. It's not just one person's breakup album. It's a whole conversation about the same shared heartbreak. Okay, the mixing process. This is where the real magic happened. Imagine taking those 24 separate tracks for just one song, like 24 different puzzle pieces, and having to make them all fit together perfectly. It was all about balancing everything, making sure you could hear every little vocal harmony, every guitar riff, every beat of the drum, and making it all sound totally clean and polished, while still feeling like it was bursting with emotion. It's an art form, really. And then the very last step, mastering. There's a reason this album still sounds so amazing even today. It's because this final step was all about preserving what we call the analog warmth, that rich, full sound you get from recording on tape. It's like this sonic glue that holds everything together and gives it a timeless quality. It's something you just don't get as much with modern digital stuff. So, what was the result of all that pain, all that technology, all that studio alchemy? Well, this. Over 40 million albums sold. Let that sink in. 40 million. It's one of the best-selling albums of all time, which is just staggering. It proves without a doubt just how deeply this music connected with people all over the world. So, when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway? It's that Rumours is so much more than just a collection of great songs. It's a monument, really. It's proof that you can take the most personal, painful, private moments of your life and, through art, turn them into something universal that speaks to millions of people for decades. Which kind of leaves us with one last big question to chew on, doesn't it? The story of Rumours is it's such a powerful example. But does it mean that you need this kind of conflict to make timeless art? Is all that turmoil and pain the price you have to pay to create a true masterpiece? I don't know the answer, but it's definitely something to think about.